Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Can you hear me all right?
I can. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome to AI for Anyone Live. I'm Sami Zoss.
And I'm Tim Lockie with the Human Stack. We're so excited to be here talking about Prompt Up the Jan this month. And
Yes.
yes.
Talk to me about that a little bit, Tim. Today, we're going to get, just for everyone tuning in, today we're going to learn about different prompting frameworks and ways in which you can get better outputs by being a little more specific on your input. Those of you that are joining that have been hanging out for a while, like Tim calls it lazy prompting, and he's so right. I am the most lazy prompter you'll see. And so this is a little bit of me trying to learn along with all of you. So we've got like 3 or 4, depending on how long we get into this, different frameworks that you'll actually be able to leave and use with them. I'll actually show you the conversation where I'm trying to generate like even game cards to make them, and you can see the
Cool.
laziness in my prompting as I'm making them, which is hilarious. So all of that to say, Tim sort of was the one that hired the Prompt Up the Jan. We're doing that category or that theme across all of our AI Club offerings this month. And so figured why not make sure that it also aligns with what we're doing here on AI for Anyone Live. It all starts with prompting. And Tim, as I continue to admit, it's just not my strong suit. And so I want to give us a little bit while I fix the stupid cards anyway, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I show you. Because I hate what it just gave me. It's just driving me nuts. But I want to hear from you while I'm fixing this over here.
Okay, well, don't fix it too much, because that's actually kind of what's fun about prompting is like, why is this so effed up and what do I do about it, right? So
yes, but that's a whole episode next week of like how to make AI fix. So
yes. Okay, cool.
I can't take next week's thunder too much. So
yeah, no. This is perfect.
Why prompt up the Jan, right? Like, why are we talking about prompting? Because this is one of those, I love to brag about all the things I know. This is just not one of them. And I learn a lot from our work in AI Club. So would love your thoughts and your feedback on it here really quick and why we're focusing on it this month.
Yeah, the easiest way to think about prompting is imagine going to a drive-through and ordering food, right? Like you get to the drive-through window or whatever, and you just say, I want food. And they ask you like, what do you want? You're just like, hey, I just want food. What's wrong with you? Right? So then, okay, you drive up to the window. This would never, I can't even imagine the restaurant in which this would happen, but this is my worst. This is my worst fear of what they would give me. You drive up to the window, you pay, whatever, and then you get a banana and a yogurt, right? Like,
that's your worst fear is a banana and a yogurt. Got it.
mean, I don't go to drive-throughs for a banana and yogurt. I'm just saying, like, that's not why I'm there. So anyway, that is
my brain is now focused on how disgusting a banana and yogurt from like McDonald's might be.
No, exactly. With barbecue sauce, right? Okay, so my point on this is if you order a burger, right? Just burger, that's what you get. You get a burger. And if what you wanted was a double burger with jalapenos and, barbecue sauce and cheddar and everything else, right? The works. That you're going to be disappointed. And the reason for your disappointment is yourself. That's my point on prompting. Prompting is always I get what I give.
Yeah.
And so what that might sound like is you have to be really smart. You have to be a prompt engineer and think through every single thing. And we're going to talk about some frameworks to help with that. And you need to know them. But the whole point of prompting is be able to be lazy as you always are, and get really good outputs. That's the point. And it's a lot of work to get there. What?
That's always my goal, is as lazy as possible. And I can't wait to show you how many attempts it's been to make these dang graphics because of how lazy I am. As I'm the one actively teaching everybody to be less lazy. So for what it's worth, we're all in this together here, folks.
I actually don't think you cannot be bad at prompting and have the kind of work that you have. Like, I see what you produce, Sami. So I don't think you're bad at prompting. I'm just gonna tell the
I
whole
think
world
I'm
that.
really stubborn in my and I think we'll go over it. I think
Mm,
where I will show how and where I excel will actually be in next week in how to get AI to do what you want. I do it fast. I don't do it so I don't have to do it the same way every time. So, for example, I have now created 3 different conversations trying to generate these, like, playing cards for these friends. Instead of taking note of what I did and, like, wrong,
uh-huh.
trying to make sure it doesn't happen next time, I have not put in place things that will help me do that. So when I need to generate cards as graphics again, I will likely have to spin the same thing. But I got there in 3 minutes while I was also hosting a podcast live, right?
Right. Yeah.
I definitely make a lot of gauges on whether or not it's worth writing it down. And if I do think it's worth writing it down, I'm really good about talking it through with the AI saying like, "All right, if you were me, how would you have prompted better to actually get this result, not that one?" So I'm excited to get into some of that next week, and really show how to iterate quickly. And then where your strength will come in that mine will fail every time is the how do I then hold on to the solution that I just built you know what I mean, apply it moving forward. And that's where some of this framework and structured prompting comes into play. It allows you to anticipate where the AI may actually fail and get ahead of that. And that
Yep.
piece that like I'm just not good at.
Yeah.
Not bad at, I just don't do. I'm so lazy that I'm like, I'll get myself part of the way there. Now, if I'm working on something, like if Tim and I are really working on something like strong that we need to have all of our ducks in a row, things together, that process for me looks so different than if I'm like, hey, can you generate graphic, like game card graphics of prompt frameworks that I'm sharing in this episode? Completely different, right? So I should note that it definitely depends on the effort level I want to give and how much use the end result will get, right?
Yeah.
I thought this
Right.
you were gonna put up on your website and you were going to have, like, as the official human stack appropriation for this, like, there would be a way different approach to this. This one is for me to present here, and if we like it and it gets enough vibes on the live, we'll probably iterate it and then, in fact, put it up on the website. But that allows us to sort of see, does it work? Does it not? Does it get us there?
Can we park on the idea of lazy for a minute?
Yeah, yeah, because
Like,
I use some of your language there, and I think you describe it a little bit better because lazy gets such a negative connotation.
yeah, and I think that one of the great things about being ADD is that you give up on some areas of life where you're just like, I will never be good at that. And I should not really
Preach.
focus on that. Right. So that's Strength
Yes.
Finders 1 point or 2.0, like that is strength based, you know, development architecture. Right.
That's
So
like the
I
couldn't
don't,
be me, so I'm not gonna worry about it.
for years, I spent a lot of time focusing on what I'm bad at, and I
Mm,
think then in my 30s I realized, or I literally with Strength Finders was like, wait, that is dumb actually. So I feel like I don't try to not be how and who I am, and that saves a
mm,
lot of static for me, right? So the way that we are lazy is going to show up differently. I'm going to guess a couple things about how you prompt, right?
yeah, talk to
First,
me.
just from what you said so far, and I didn't know that you would like just start a new conversation over.
Oh, I do
That's
it all the time. I
that's great.
copy the whole conversation and put it over and
Absolutely,
say,
because what you're
"Instead of
doing,
this, do this."
yeah. Well, no, you're literally context building from past mistakes and saying, I didn't like this, do something different, right?
Mhm, mhm.
That's I don't think that's that to me qualifies as lazy prompting, right? Like you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't like that. The other thing I'm guessing that you do is that you switch models. You're like, I don't like the way Gemini is doing that. I'm going to take all this output, throw it in Claude and GPT, and see which one I like best, and then I'm going to work from there, right? So you get fed up
Mhm.
with one coworker and you move to another, right? So
It's like I don't like
that's
mom saying no, so I'm gonna go ask dad.
absolutely right. Like this, that's not bad. That is you
Stubborn.
like finding what's working. The other thing is it's a weird thing. You are persistent. Like I know you. You will not give up on that. Like I feel like there are ways to get there faster, but I feel like that's in kind of how you are. So, um, to me, the goal is to be able to create more predictability and then to live in those systems. I only use like I will get a system up and running until it's like really working well. And then I move on because I like that's just how I'm built, and it's really frustrating, but that's how I'm built. So
I feel that.
it means I chew through frameworks really fast, try them out, learn a lot. And then I have a whole bunch of frameworks that added together kind of all work together. So I don't know if
Tim
that's
like
helpful.
doubles down on something for like 3 months and then like forgets. And
Yep.
I do this too. I do it less in my like AI work than you. Like I was looking through some of our past conversations and I can't remember, there was an app that you had introduced me to that you were like, this is going to change our lives. And I don't think you brought it up again after that, which was hilarious. I'm going to find it. I don't want to say
I've done that
I don't want
probably
to say the
9
name of
times.
it. I don't want to say the name of it for a few reasons.
Yeah.
But it was so funny because I was like, I got so into it. I like deep dove, and then all of a sudden, like Tim never brought it up again. And I was like, okay, so less relevant than we thought. Got it. Love that. I think I use the word stubborn a lot. I love that Megan's always in here commenting. She knows it pretty well at this point. Like persistence is definitely something we both have. I know at the beginning of or middle last year, I did this thing that I had everyone, myself included. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. I had everyone, myself included, essentially just go into ChatGPT because it was the only one with memories and say, roast me. Don't give it anything more. Don't give it anything less.
I remember that.
And one of the first things it told me was that I use productivity tools like Tinder, and I could not have felt more seen than I did in that moment. And that I feel like you relate to quite a bit. That it's just like, you know what? If it works for me, great. And if it stops working for me, like I'm out. But that's what's beautiful about what we have sort of at our disposal these days is I can pop up a new Notion template for something pretty quickly with my AI and Notion. So all of that to say, laziness in this context doesn't have to mean inadequacy, doesn't have to mean incorrect, doesn't have to mean like bad. In a lot of ways, I love the laziness that I bring to it because it's like I can't remember if it was Microsoft or Apple that had said like they try to find the laziest people to hire because they find the quickest, like the most critical path to success. And I think that's a really important piece to note.
I think it's being smart about how you're lazy. So people that don't accept that they're lazy or that literally aren't lazy and will do the, like a huge amount of adequate work every single time, like mad props to them. I am wired to be like, I will spend 5 hours to save, 5 minutes because I think I'm going to save 5 minutes every day.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the kind of laziness that I think we should lean into with prompting is to create spend enough time figuring those methods out. The background for that is actually in the figuring it out. You learn so much more than if you get just something that works up to a certain level and then you just use that from now on. So there's like an obsessive, like, I wonder if I can increase the efficiency. It's not even efficiency. It's just, I don't know. There's something in me that's just optimization crazy.
Yes.
And I think that's
to the point where like we've talked about how you will spend 5 hours to automate something that takes 5 minutes. And that is helpful. If that is something you do every day for 5 minutes, great. But if it is something you do once a year for 5 minutes, just take the 5 minutes. And I think that's where sometimes my laziness can be really helpful.
Yes.
Because I'm like, this is only going to take me 5 minutes. So screw it. I'm just going to like iterate. And maybe it'll take me 6 minutes instead of 5, but it'll be better than it was when I did it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm not spending 5 hours trying to automate it.
Yep.
Which I've been guilty of. I mean, I love because I want to learn the systems too. So our curiosity definitely gets in our own way.
Okay.
Well.
The thing that I did that has been really helpful is kind of like the opposite of your roast me. I created a know me really, really well that has all of my disk profiles Dan Kershaw had me do like a Colby thing, my strength
Oh yeah,
finders,
he keeps telling me I have to
Myers-Briggs.
do that.
I like the Enneagram. I've never really understood, so I don't do that one. But
I don't understand
I've
any of these for what it's
put
worth.
all of those in there and have grilled it about where I'm best, where I'm not best, what I should focus on. And then had it look at all of my prompts and really evaluate, like, how is this working? What stuff works best for me? That has been incredibly helpful. So it's accelerated
Okay.
that personal development side. So the roast me is funny, right? And it is
Yes.
like, I mean, I remember the productivity like Tinder is, that's such a great line. It's so true.
And it's still true
Yeah.
today. Like
Yep.
and I watch it bite me in the butt too.
Yeah. So this project in Claude for me has told me, hey, you should steer away from things that are you're like, you have unlimited ideas. You should be in places where you're rewarded for unlimited ideas, and you should not be working on things that slow down or that get you in a grind on doing things. And I'm like, oh, okay, that actually feels like it fits pretty well. So I feel like, my point isn't that's about me. My point is you can use that to actually figure out how to optimize or what your path is. Anyway, all that to say, prompting is a way to increase predictability, and while not having to think really hard every single time you're going to prompt.
Every single time you're going to prompt.
Yeah.
Apologies, I did get a little distracted there. So we live stream in a few different areas. One is on we live stream 2 areas and then we reshare on others. One is on Tim's LinkedIn, which is where a lot of the folks find us. Another is on YouTube. And then we actually have tested out my Facebook, just because why not? I got a text that the Facebook wasn't working, so I was moving over.
Great.
I sent the YouTube live link.
Good.
So
cool.
Danielle, if
Great.
you joined, it is wonderful to see you. I love having people join from, like, I guess my grandma and my aunt watched last week.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. I'm so excited.
Wait,
so
what's
I'm
your grandma and aunt's name?
Grandma Judy and Aunt Mary.
Hi, Grandma Judy. Hi, Aunt Mary.
Oh, my friend Kelly. Look, see? She's watching too.
Yeah.
Look at all my friends and family. I'm such a little nerd. Sorry. Okay, so I want to go over, I do want to at least get through 2 of sort of like the most known frameworks in prompting. And first and foremost, one is called the STAR method. And it is situation, task, audience, and results. And I'm going to share my screen because I want to show you when I say I messed up a bunch this morning in trying to get this to generate the way I wanted it to. Let me show you what I meant. Because, and I have to do my like 80 million % zoom in because Tim's blind and it's fine. You got to make it nice and big so it fills the screen. And then let me find the chat first. Where are we at? Of course, now that's.
Thank you.
Better? Good.
Well, it was.
We love it.
Now
We
it's
love
not.
to see it.
It
What do you
was
mean, no,
for
it's
a
not?
minute.
This is
No.
huge.
No. Nope. It's not.
Sir.
I'm telling you. Oh, you know what? There's probably a delay.
There's got to be, because I'm like, this is massive. I was trying to get this to generate 3 separate trading cards so I could show you one at a time. For whatever reason, I have like 3 or 4 conversations trying to make it happen, and it refused. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in. I'm going to talk through. And actually, can we just take a minute? This is one of the least, what's the right word? This is bad. And Gemini's Nano Banana, from a words perspective, has actually usually been really good.
The STDR method?
Yes. And it still shows audience, which is awesome. But like, identify who the something final out something is for. I mean, I know it's saying identify who the final output is for, but like, this is crazy. Yeah. Right? So I haven't seen Gemini fail like that. Not Nano Banana in a long time.
Yeah.
Thankfully, better. Much better, right? So these were the 3 that I kind of wanted to go over today. Starting with the STAR method, and then I did actually work with Gemini to create And I did it in Claude too. To your point earlier, I do it in a lot of different tools to see what it looks like, which I think is really funny that I had actively done that when you'd said so. But sort of made a lab of then, okay, here's the star method builder. Let's build one out and see what the actual prompt would look like that way. So we can kind of work on those together in all three different frameworks. So
I
speaking
love
with
it.
the star method, and I love that we've got sort of like on these trading cards, the best four, right? So complex projects and recruitment. So STAR is truly just like an acronym, right? It stands for situation, task, audience, and results. For the situation, it's basically like what, like context is the right word there. What context is needed in order for me to know what output is the best use here. So that's why I like complex projects is sort of one of the highlights of what it's best for is you could say the situation is this and it will take all of that into consideration given context windows as it's developing its output, whereas some of the others, or if you're just prompting like I do sometimes, I give it 8 million things and it doesn't require me to specify the context. So I'm giving things that maybe aren't as related to the output. They're just related in some loose way.
Can we step back for just 1 second? I want and
For
explain
sure.
what frameworks are. So, if you haven't heard of a prompt framework, all a prompt framework is a way to think through elements of a prompt
Yeah.
so that it will it will give you outputs that are more predictable. So, um, there are common elements in there that there's like background information that is I'm actually really curious about the difference between situation and context. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the two that I see a lot. But there's background, here's what you know, right? Um, and then there is actions, tasks, like instructions. Here's the stuff to do, and then there's usually a little bit of a who you are, right? So this is, role profile, like persona, a bunch of different ways of thinking about it. And then there's usually something related to the kind of output that you want. I want it to look like this, whether it's a table or a list or, in 5 different languages. So those are like almost all prompt frameworks I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the big things it covers, right? But it makes a difference how it thinks about those and the words that it uses. Like words matter in prompting so much, like so
So
massively.
much.
Yeah. And so anyway, those are kind of some of the elements, but um I'm introducing 5 other ones in the Upskillerator today. So I'm actually really excited to see the 2 that you're bringing up here that I haven't seen before. So I think those are great.
Well, to pull
Um,
back and just give a quick example without getting into a framework of what the difference in an output can be, right? So, from a nonprofit perspective, and actually really interesting, Tim, we don't get into this on AI4AnyoneLIVE, so I don't want to overcomplicate it. But there are different sort of like response modes you can put your AI in. And so since we're working in Gemini, fast is what it will default to. Thinking is what I usually move ours to. And then pro is when you like really need it to spend a lot of time double checking its own work, some of that stuff. So a minute ago, I put help me write a donor email in and I had it on thinking mode. And it actually, the AI is getting better at saying, like, I know I'm going to get yelled at basically if I don't ask clarifying questions because I'm missing context. So on the thinking one, it said, I'd be happy to craft an effective email, but I need more context. And then it asked some questions, which is funny because look at this. It's actually asking for bits of a framework that it's got
yep.
in its mind
Right.
for what a good donor email would be.
Right.
Then so I saw this, right? Here's a general template, fine. I love that it gave us some pro tips here too. So then I went and I switched it to fast, asked it the same thing, and it gave a very similar approach answer, but it flipped it. So it gave us the output first, like the end result of a donor email. Then it said, to make this perfect, give me some more information. But either way, both responses were asking for more info, right? So now I want to start a new conversation in fast that is very specific, right? Write a 200-word thank you email to a recurring monthly donor who just increased their gift, emphasizing program impact and personal appreciation. So there's still some vagueness here, but generally speaking, a much more specific, contextually aware request that also is very clear in what I want as an output and the output constraints, 200 words, it's a thank you email, etc. So much more specific here. And now it's saying, do you want it tailored to your organization specifically? If I were to do the exact same thing in the thinking model, it'll just spend a little more time, and it'll, like, you can see what I love about Gemini is it in layman's terms explains what it's doing. When you look at the show Thinking, it's one of my favorite pieces.
Okay, Benjamin just asked a great question on LinkedIn. So if you could pop that up, and what he said is,
let me stop sharing really quick so I can see it.
So if you go back to the picture that you pulled up with STDR, so Benjamin's question is, okay, when AI gives you something like STDR instead of STAR, that's our fault for not having better prompts. First of all, yes, it's always on us to have better prompts, but you're going to run into limits on what it can do, right? So there are some ways around those limits, but ultimately, maybe it's better to think about it this way. Instead of it being our fault, it's actually the only thing we can do is prompt differently. So maybe it's more of responsibility than fault. In other words, our fault or not, all we could do is change what we're telling it. I don't know if that's helpful. Anyway, why would it do that to begin with? Great question. Why it did that. And I love this line. I don't know how to tell AI not to do something stupid like this. It's not intuitive that it would make up something like that. First of all, one of my favorite prompts is literally stop being stupid. So like, yes, I think that is a valid observation on that. I love this question. So my response I already put in LinkedIn is that images are still a wild card. I'll give you a cheat code on images though. If you say create, like, instead of getting the image, tell it to give you the prompt for the image or the output for the image in JSON. For some reason, if you just get it in JSON, it'll just come out as like a string of code. Yeah, exactly. It's just like it's what AI reads actually in the background. It's like CSV for text. It's probably the easiest way to think about that. So it gives you this output that it reads natively. And when you put that in and ask for an image with that, it works way better. I've tried to double step that where I'm like, first think of this in JSON and then output it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the thing I will say is that images are different and they're still kind of wild cards. So you're going to have, your prompts are going to create more predictability around text than they are around audio, video, or images. I hope that's helpful. And to some degree, there's like, one of the other things you can do is switch the models from fast to thinking to pro, right? So the smarter the model, the less dumb it is. So if you don't want it to be stupid, use a better model. Is the very, very first thing. And those models are different for images or text or whatever. All right. Great question.
I'll also go over more in depth on how to do what we kind of just did here, where it's like, how do we go around and then fix when AI messes up like this? So it's a completely... Did you hear that?
I did. Is your fire alarm going off?
No barking. Quit it.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
So some of you have heard this before, but my Alexa is triggered by a bark to like, and then say no barking, quit it to my dogs, and then send me a text that my dogs are barking in case it happens while I'm not here.
That is one of the wildest automations I've ever seen. That is crazy. I actually want you to, like, I've got to find out more about that. So
it's so fun. I love when it happens on live. I should be more offended when it happens on live because I'm trying to be a little more professional or whatever. But I'm like, it's so funny and it fits so well with what we're doing.
I know.
Like,
Oh yeah,
there are
totally.
little things that you
Right.
don't think fit in your life.
Yeah.
That I'm like, now I can leave my apartment. I know when my dogs are barking. I also know that they're at least getting yelled at once. So hopefully they stop.
Yes.
Anyway, I want to put
Karen
a pin in the rest of that.
Karen said something about offering a reference image first. If you have
Okay,
one,
I'm going to pause you, Tim, because you're going to go down this whole train, and this is literally all of next week's episode. So I'm going to pull in some of those for next week. I want to at least get through the STAR method and really go through what the difference between a starter and a finished prompt on the STAR method looks like, because the STAR method is one that I've heard of the most. From there, though, I think these are awesome, and I actually love that we got to show some bad examples.
Yep.
Because that is literally all of next week's episode. I actually didn't structure much because I wanted to just start mess prompting and see what happens and show you guys how Tim and I work through our own, like, not the formal prompting framework. Here's how you fix things, but literally, hey, my hack is I ask for it in JSON because images are just difficult, or I have to start a new conversation because I don't know how to tell it to stop being dumb, etc.
Yep.
I love that.
Also,
Benjamin, he put half the time she says, "I'm sorry, I can't help with that." When so they were talking about the Alexa. Like,
Alexa.
All I can do is say, "Turn on Megan's light." That's so funny.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. I just can't not say this, but my mom will never say bad words at all, and she considers damn a bad word. So I renamed some of her lights in their house. Turn on. I named them damn lights. So she has to say, "Turn on the damn lights." That was that made me very, very happy, and then she made me change it. So anyway, there we go.
That's so funny.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do that at my boyfriend's house. Actually, that's so good. So I want to get in. We created this awesome little formula builder. So let's try it, right? So Tim, I've got example. I'm going to start with our examples. Then I'm going to have you sort of walk us through. I love that it gave me this little load example piece here. And let me zoom in a little bit more so we can just see what we're looking at. Okay. So the situation would be our neighborhood nonprofit is organizing a monthly community cleanup event in Riverside Park, right? The task we want to perform, so the task that we need AI's help with, is writing a volunteer recruitment post for social media. The audience is going to be our local residents, especially families with kids and young professionals who care about environmental issues. A happy end result, so what success would look like, would be recruiting 25 volunteers by making the event sound fun, meaningful, and accessible for all skill levels, keeping it under 150 words and a clear call to action. So you can see the context that's necessary for the output, the actual task at hand, who the output is intended for, and what success would look like. Final prompt review.
I don't see audience very often. I don't know why I don't see that more often. That's very basic. So I really like that. Yeah. I think in general, AI considers you the audience. So I feel like this is actually.
Well, I think that's why it's important to clarify.
Absolutely.
If you're not, right? So let's copy that prompt and let's pop it into our Gemini here, right?
Wait, is this for an image still? Are we doing an image?
This is just
okay. This is for copy.
A volunteer recruitment post.
Gotcha.
For social media. Keep Riverside Park radiant, ready to make tangible impact right in your backyard. Join our neighborhood nonprofit monthly community cleanup. Whether you're a young professional looking for a meaningful weekend reset or a family teaching the kids about environmental stewardship, this event is for you. It's low stress, high impact, and accessible for all ages and skill levels. A few why join us, and we are looking for 25 local heroes to help us reach our goal this month. Ooh, I love, and then the clear sign up here to claim your spot. That's a good call to action. And I can't decide how much I like this. This is probably a conversation for another day of sometimes I appreciate the lead into the next step. Other times I'm I didn't ask for any of that. So we'll put a pin in that conversation because God knows we could go on forever.
Oh, dear Lord.
But what a great example of the STAR method, right?
Yes. Really good. Yeah.
Do you have, we can move on to the next one, or I'd be happy to redo this if you have one that you know what I mean? Do you want to talk through one?
Yeah, I mean, I can introduce them. The main idea here is not what is the right one. The
Oh
main
God,
idea
yeah.
here is, listen, one of these is going to be better than create a post that, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's my point on it. And um I remember, because I was a very early user of ChatGPT before they had personalizations. We had to keep our own context library about who we were. In every
Mm-hmm.
chat, I would pull in a document that would just be like, here's who I am,
All the
here's who you
things.
are, right?
Yep.
And um, and so I've been around to see the iterations as it's just gotten more and more aware. And so you have to do so much less work with it. But this part right here, I think will always remain where you're thinking through these in order to make sure that the output that you're getting works the way you want it to. So
Absolutely.
there's another one. So care is another one. I think that one is context, action, role, and example. I think that there's
Mm-hmm.
another one.
Example is another one that's really helpful.
Yep.
The
PTCF.
four-part framework's got context, role, task, and format.
Yep.
Here, I can pull this up.
Yep. Right. That's the
Um,
PTCF.
I really like the specificity stack, and what I like about it is it's the way we
Okay.
think
Can
about
you zoom
problems.
in on that?
I
Just
can
2
here. Let me
clicks.
download the full size
Oh, cool.
because
Okay.
that might work.
Oh, there you go. That's way better.
Sometimes
Okay.
it doesn't zoom in on the image as well when they're in the chat like this, so I
Yeah.
apologize.
Right.
But okay, so like for the specificity stack, what I appreciate is this isn't like some star framework, or it's basically saying like when you're thinking through when you're thinking through a problem, you think of who, what, when, where, why. Like, so it's kind of following along with that. What specificity stack does though is has that person is similar. 4-part formula does this too, where it's assigning that specific persona or role depending on how you're doing it. So it's saying, hey, Mr. AI, you're no longer Mr. AI. You are an expert in this area, or you are Tim Lockie of the human stack, and I am hoping to get this from you, etc.
Yep.
I apologize. I don't know what it is. I have had to tell a lot of people this lately. My staring at screens has induced so much yawning lately. I'm not tired. It's 10 o'clock. It's almost 11. Like, not a time for me to be tired. But the yawning just gets out of control these days.
Yep.
But I love the like thinking about it. If I can't remember star or the clear framework or anything like that, I can remember like who, what, why, how, and what I want the output to look like from a format perspective. Easy peasy, right? So who do I want this to be acting as? What do I want to accomplish? Why do I need it? How that person that I've then created here should do it, and then in what format do I want the output? Amazing.
Yep. We are coming up on time. I can't believe it. It just goes so fast every time.
I'm wondering, Tim, before I hand it off to close it up, this would be a fun one. We can adjust some of the pieces, but it'd be interesting to put this just up on the website somewhere where folks can really play around with their own, and we can add the other frameworks that you've mentioned here. You know what I mean? So if you wanted to build it for star method, you can load the example that we have, but then you could also just check it out from the perspective of, all right, I want to type in my own context. So if that'd be helpful, I would love to, we'll work with the team on getting that. But with that, I know you put in the chat, so I'm sure you want to talk about it really briefly, is the spectra. And then we'll close it up here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a shout out to Nate Jones and Jonathan Edwards is really
Per
important here
usual.
for 3 reasons. One, Nate wrote all the prompts for AI cred. Two, Jonathan built AI cred, looked through all of the responses and asked it about frameworks, and it started to build one for him called Spectra.
I love that story he wrote on it too, where it like built its own, like it didn't exist.
Yes.
I knew you were going to talk about it. I'm so excited that you brought this up.
It's really interesting. I really like the work that he's doing in AI fluency. I think it's great. I feel like I'm especially happy about that because I did get a 10 out of 10 on his prompt engineering leg of that skill, and I've worked really hard on that. So I think that was really fun. The main there are 3 stages I think about prompting. There's probably more, but maybe there's 3 I've encountered so far. One is where AI is magic, and no matter what you prompt, you can't believe that it's putting it giving you something back. That's how it started for me. I think it's really understandable. Layer 2 is where you start to understand, oh, if I want if I want a fancy burger, I need to give a fancy order, right? So better orders equal better food, better prompts equal better outputs. And then I think the third layer ends up being where you realize that prompting is always a reflection of how you think about prompting and what you want. So prompting is always a reflection of you. When I hear people say, I can always tell AI writing, what they're saying out loud without realizing it is, I think all AI writing is bad, and I can see the difference between good writing and bad writing, and I can see obviously bad AI writing, and I'm assuming that all writing is like this because that's the kind of AI writing I see, right? What they're missing is that no, almost everything's got some AI input into it, and if it's good, you don't notice it. You don't realize it's AI, right? So, right. So I feel like those are the different levels. The action, the takeaway, the thing to do, go try out the STAR method. Try out. We'll put a post up with those
AI
things.
too. You can say, hey, what would be a better prompt framework to get the output that I was looking for here?
Absolutely.
I was giggling. You can see in my glasses, so I can't ever hide if I'm looking at my phone or something else on the screen during these meetings. I was looking through our text, Tim, because I knew you had done this to me once. This was right when Tim was sort of starting his own framework of the basic prompt, basic answer kind of deal. And he texted me, how did you make the Google form so fast? Which is it was after one of our episodes, actually, that he was asking that. And I literally just put, I wonder if I can even show. I literally right here, I just put AI ? With a smiley face. And he goes, ask a basic prompt, get a basic answer. That's on me. And then he never replied after that. So I don't even know why he was asking. But what a funny, for what it's worth, we are this nerdy in real time.
That's what I was looking for, though. I totally earned that burn. I was like,
it was so funny. You're ask a basic prompt, get a basic answer.
Yeah,
totally. It just cracked me up because I was like, wow, I didn't even mean to, but I was like, literally, that's the answer. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my gosh.
Perfect. It does highlight sort of one of the best takeaways here in my mind, which is we do this in real life. If I send an email to Tim Lockie, I know that there is a certain sort of formula that in which I send to Tim a request, I will get the output I need. And that is very different than if I send a request to Megan to get the output I need from Megan. And if I need if I need an output from Tim that is personal versus professional, that formula looks different as well. So thinking there's a one size fits all just isn't accurate. So that's why when we're talking about these frameworks, Tim is really good about reminding everyone go play with them and don't get stuck on one. Just start with one. Because it'll get you 80% of the way there, especially for your sort of daily users rather than those like us who I'm using it to build full, Excel stacks and craziness. But I just thought it was really funny to pull that out and remind people that talking to AI, if you think about it from the lens of talking to a human or requesting from a human, it is not the same, but it helps you reframe your brain on how you discuss it. I can't tell you how many times people have been like, oh, I never even thought to just ask the AI how I could have done that better. And that's the number one place to start. It's have you asked that same conversation where you didn't get what you wanted, how to get what you wanted, what you should have done differently? Because that's what I would do if I didn't get what I needed from you, Tim. I'd be like, hey, what do I need to include in this?
Yep.
So I get what I need from you the first time instead of all this back and forth or whatever. So reframing it that way, I think is a really helpful mindset.
Here's the closing story. If you're okay with this, you can like throw something else on if you want. But 6 months ago, Dana Snyder from Positive Equation reached out and said, I've got
over here.
these 5 prompts that I'm using right now that are related to the work that I do. And can we turn that into like, what would it take to turn that into an app? And I said, like, either $100K or build it yourself and I can coach you. She's about to take that live. I've seen the prototype. I mean, I've seen the whole thing because I've been working with her on it. This is a full build, a full app build that she built entirely from prompting. Even the prompts about the prompts she's built from, and it is a work of art. It is so amazing what she's built with that. So if you have not yet signed up, and we will put stuff on here from, for the next bit. If you have not signed up for her monthly giving event, oh my gosh, conference summit thing at the end of February, sign up for that. Because we'll be showing a little bit of what it is, but it is, I mean, she went from a custom GPT to this full app, and it is just amazing. So shout out to Dana.
monthlyGivingSummit.com for those of you listening. I will have a prettier version of this QR code next week, but it is right there for you if you would like to check it out.
Yes, Megan, I think that this is a new app. Yeah.
I can't wait to see.
Oh, it is insane.
I mean, Practivated is another good example that started just from like, we call it vibe coding or prompting. I mean, there's so much more potential these days. I mean, the thing that you built for current state reviews, just, I could go on, and it's all from the ability to require a higher standard of output from the tools that you're using. So
yeah, right.
With that, we are going to sign off. I'm just pulling up next week's episode. We do actually have next week and the following week because we've got all prompt up the Jan. So we were able to get a little bit farther ahead. So next week is Second Prompts the Charm, fixing AI fumbles. So I'm also all down if people want to hand in like, I hate when AI does this thing. Let's talk about it. Otherwise, Tim and I are just going to prompt our way through mistakes and show you guys the different ways that we iterate. Because there's no one size fits all on fixing AI. So until next week, until next time, so excited to see you all. Wonderful as always to see you, Tim. And
likewise.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.